Thank you very much for inviting me here. I think it's a very good time for this discussion. On one side, as the Minister mentioned, there are some big progress and big movements in Europe on health. I would say equivalent to some of the earlier stages of what happened on sort of developing climate change policy or environmental policies. This is a very big shift in European policies. And the other reason is that it's particularly important in Greece, is that actually, as Mr. Arian said earlier, I mean, Greece has actually been through this and now is increasingly being seen as a best example. And I've got a few best examples to mention. Look, as I say, Europe really stood up in its COVID response. The EU vaccine supply strategy has delivered 4.2 billion doses of vaccines, 1.7 billion for the EU itself, and the EU is by far the biggest exporter of the rest to the world. But I think even more importantly, the coronavirus experience has led to a very deep reflection on the lessons of the crisis and what needs to change and how policy needs to be developed. And I think there are three big lessons that need to be learnt. And I would say that the Commission has already taken, and the European Council and Parliament have already taken very many steps. So what are the three lessons? Well, the first one, of course, I think is obvious, the need for stronger EU-level health surveillance, emergency planning, and policy coordination. In fact, the legislative framework for that, the regulation on serious cross-border threats to health, has already been agreed at the political level amongst the institutions and will soon be in place. It will allow joint procurement of vaccines and medical therapeutics on a regular basis. The second thing is, of course, this new institution, the HERA, the goddess, the European Health Emergency Preparedness Authority. And this has already started working, and it's already, in fact, started supplying vaccines against monkeypox. It's working. And the third pillar of this, is the European health data space, which is the exchange of health data, which is, let's say, the most sensitive data anywhere, but it's essential for policy purposes. Well, that's the first lesson. The second lesson, as the Minister mentioned, and I think this is a big thing for this panel, is that it's crucial to speed up the development and deployment of the new disruptive health technologies and treatments. Wow, these range from personalized medicines, gene therapies, health apps, health wearables. We need to build upon the extraordinary success of the development of the COVID vaccines, which were actually approved and started to be used within less than a year from the decoding of the COVID genome. And this is precisely what the Commission's pharmaceutical strategy is designed to achieve. Well, there's going to be a major revision to the pharmaceuticals legislation by the end of this year to enlarge the scope of clinical trials, adapting them to all these cutting-edge products, and perhaps even more importantly, to speed up the regulatory approval times, because that's actually getting the medicines to the people. Secondly, there's going to be a review of the balance of incentives for market innovation and affordability. This is certainly also important. But there's also a whole range of other measures, and this is where I think Greece is a leader. For instance, on changing public procurement procedures to make things more robust and resilient, which is allowing a diversity of suppliers to provide medicines and other medical devices, which is of course something that the Greek government has successfully already implemented. And the third lesson, well, and I think this is another big change. This is to reinforce public health systems across the EU in the light of the COVID experience. There is a very large amount of money available to do this. There's 5 billion from the EU for Health programme. There's at least 25 billion from recovery plans across the EU for health. And this will enable the development of reinforcing primary healthcare, another big focus of Greek policy. It was clear from the COVID crisis that primary healthcare was important. It's the only way of getting to the people. And of course, the recent efforts in Greece to develop a comprehensive approach of primary care, incentives for patient registration and gatekeeping. This will really, I think, improve healthcare and actually strengthen the governance and efficiency of the system. So I'll end there. I'll come back on some Greek issues because I'm certain they will be discussed later. But thank you very much for inviting me. And as I say, I think this is an important moment and this is the right time to have the discussion between government and industry on health, because all the potential resources are there. Now the governance is really the issue, and what a wonderful place to do it in Greece that is already adapting its health system and has been doing so over the last years. Thank you.